I hope you're here to chew bubble gum, because if not, Rowdy Piper has something to say about that. So hey guys, this is Jason, Zombie Collector. So I'm going to put my zombie part of the collector for the first time in doing my videos. Since I've had so many people come up to me and say, well, not me personally on the streets, even though that happens a lot, and say, we want to see some of your autograph collection. I will tell you that I have tons and tons of autographs that I've got in person or through the mail. I will let you know when the ones that are in person are. Obviously, I can speak to that. The ones that are through the mail, the ones obviously I think, just like with my baseball cards, I think they're signed by the real person. If I know they're not, I will say so. Or if I have questions, maybe you all can help me find out if I have an authentic autograph or not. But I'm going to start out with some of my in-person autographs, the ones I've had hanging in my house. I actually been doing some remodeling, and so these were already off the wall, so I just went and grabbed them and did this video. And I will tell you guys, before I got really heavily back into baseball cards, like, again, my film collection and autograph collection was pretty massive, and I still do it quite a bit. But like I said, you know, it's something that I've kind of waned in the last few years. I still do shows when I can, but when having a son who's playing baseball every weekend, essentially, or basketball for that matter, it's hard to get to some of these conventions because, quite frankly, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm going to pick one or the other, I'm going to pick my kid doing my stuff with my son than doing a whole weekend trip somewhere. So this is all a lot from, you know, over the last 15 years, maybe longer. And then, like I said, I'll still hit one up occasionally. Now, with all that being said, let's get into it. So here is Rowdy Piper from the movie They Live. I met Mr. Piper at Days of the Dead. It was I think it was their first show. And it's really cool because I didn't get a picture with him. He was one of the first celebrities that I went to spend the money to get the autograph, but I wouldn't do the picture because he was one of the very few that I ever got an autograph from who also was charging for a picture. Now, that's just the way it is now, and that's a whole other side story. But he was the most just decent, classiest guy. You know, he had a pretty big line consistently that whole weekend, but he made you feel for that 1 to 2 minute interaction that you're the only person there, looked you in the eye, shook your hand, asked you some questions, asked you more about you than even about himself. He was really interested in doing that. And so, there he is, the little whippersnapper. Oh, whippersnapper. And so anyways, he was like a class act. Now, a lot of people don't realize that Rowdy Piper was a actor. He obviously did WWF for years as Rowdy Piper, but he did this movie with John Carpenter, They Live, which was a huge success, and he did great. He has one of the most epic battle scenes with David Keith, between them two fighting. And so, anyways, met him, class act, one of the greatest guys out there.
What was his finishing move? Like Rey Mysterio's is the 619. What was his?
I don't really know if Rowdy Piper had a finishing move necessarily. Maybe he did. I'm trying to think. You put me on the spot, son. I think didn't he slap on the sleeper hold a lot of times on people. I feel like that's what I want to say. It's been a while, but I believe that's what he did. He slapped on the old sleeper on people, but his was more just like he was a dirty fighter. Like he would just find ways. Like he would hide. What do you call those? Like brass knuckles in his trunks. And then when the ref wasn't looking, he put him on and then co-cocked somebody in the mouth. And then, you know, that was why, because he was a bad guy, then he'd go to be a good guy, then he'd go back to being a bad guy. So he was a baby face and a heel. That's what they used to call. That's what they call in wrestling. When you're a good guy, you're a baby face. When you're a bad guy, you're a heel. So that's it. He was famous for his Piper Pit episodes, doing the Piper Pit. Next up is William Katt.
Meow.
He was in the movie House. He was also in a lot of movies, but a lot of people also would recognize him from The Greatest American Hero. So I hung out with William Katt at a convention. Him and I ended up talking a lot about actually his son. At the time him and I were hanging out, his son was working in China, and we talked a lot about that because I used to live in Japan. and we talked, and he was like the most down-to-earth guy. Like, he was just like you're talking to somebody's dad. Just like, he was just so proud of what his son was doing. We talked about some of the movies. He played Roger Cobb in House. And that's a great 80s movie as well, just like They Live with John Carpenter's They Live with Roddy Piper. But he was great. He also shows up in the TV show Heroes in this like a 2 or 3 episode arc. The Ollie Lauder character actually kills him with her superpowers. Spoiler alert, with her freezing ability. So it kind of sucks. I thought he was going to be around for a while. He kind of played like a sleazy reporter. And then he was also like another 80s movie I love called Baby. I believe it was like The Legend of the Dinosaur or Baby the Legend or something like that. But basically it was like an animatronic like Brontosaurus or something. And he was the star of that film. And like I said, amongst other things. But this movie gave, not necessarily William Katt, but or William Katt, but this movie that he was in gave me lots of nightmares as a child growing up. Next up is probably the most famous, if not the most famous, I'll just say she's the most famous, Blaxploitation actress, and this actress in general, from the 70s, and maybe the early 80s, but mostly the 70s. It is Pam Grier. Now, Pam Grier was in tons of stuff. Coffee, Sheba Baby, oh my gosh, I'm already forgetting. Jackie Brown, there we go, which kind of like revitalized her career with Quentin Tarantino brought her back for Jackie Brown. Oh, Foxy Brown, another 80s or 70s Blaxploitation. I had Jackie Brown and Foxy Brown mixed up. But she was the quintessential Blaxploitation actress. If you wanted a huge actress in your movie and sell tickets, you got Pam Grier. That's who you got in your show. She was in, I think she first got her start with Roger Corman and like the dolls in the birdcage or something, or girls in the birdcage or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was something along those lines. And then from that point forward, she just got bigger and bigger. And I'm a huge fan of William Girdler. And he was a director from Louisville who did lots of exploitation films. He only ended up doing like 6 or 7 before he died. He died in a helicopter crash in the Philippines, scouting out locations. But he did Sheba Baby, and she was in that. And that's kind of actually how I got turned on to her, because I didn't really know of her other work. I just knew her from Sheba Baby. And once I learned about her other film work, I just got really excited and checked it out. So anyway, she was in lots of movies. She was in John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars, I believe. She was on the TV show The L Word. But anyways, Quentin Tarantino brought her back for Jackie Brown, and that kind of took her off for a while again, because she was very famous from the 70s, from her acting back in the 70s. Kind of disappeared, and then she got big again, and then I met her at a convention, and I believe Horror Hound in Cincinnati, maybe 5-6 years ago. William Katt was also at Days of the Dead in Indianapolis back 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. Time flies. But I would highly recommend, if you're a big fan of Blaxploitation films, you would have to know who she is. But if you want to see a good actress in those movies that doesn't get enough recognition, she's one of them. Now, this is a hodgepodge of different little like odd-shaped autographs that I have. So we'll start out with Carol Speed. She was in the movie Abby, which also was a William Girdler film. And Abby was a ripoff of The Exorcist. So The Exorcist was huge for Warner Brothers. And then William Girdler, which is what a lot of exploitation directors did back in the 70s, would take that premise, change a few details, and then make the exact same movie again, but with different actors. And like I said, a similar premise, but different enough not to get sued. And that was his superpower. So Carol Speed was one of those actresses that was in his movie Abby. She played basically the Linda Blair character from The Exorcist. So you have her there. She also was in a movie called Black Samson. She also was in The Mac, I believe, as bit part as that. I used to have a podcast with a friend of mine named John Schatzer. It was called Gut Munchers. And she was one of our first interviews. I had tracked her down and was able to get her, kind of bring her back into the forefront. I'm not really saying like it was all about me, but I was able to get her, some exposure. And she kind of got out there and started doing some conventions and did some other podcast or whatnot, but it was kind of cool to see her get a little bit of recognition because she definitely deserved it. Next up is Hideo Nakata. He is the director of The Ring, Japanese Ring, and I believe the American Ring. Did he come back and do the American Ring? I cannot remember, but I sent it to his studio in America when he was still doing films in America, when he had I think he had like some kind of contract or whatnot that he did like a handful of films or, at least, developed of some films, and I got him. He sent me that picture himself, as did Carol Speed. Carol Speed was through the mail, and he was also through the mail, but I'm almost guaranteed that's Carol Speed's autograph because she's not to be rude, but she's not an actress that would have like a lot of fan mail, so I'm pretty sure that's her. No, Hideo Nakata, I'm pretty sure that's his autograph. I double checked online a couple times. It looks pretty good. But again, if you like the Japanese version of The Ring, American version of The Ring, he's the one who did that. And then up here we have Tom the Mustache Atkins. This is a Japanese, they call this a chirashi. It's basically just a mini poster in Japanese. And as you can see, it says, "Beware the Fog." And this is a Japanese original 1980, 81, I can't remember what year it came out, of The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog. And I met him at Cinema Wasteland, and he signed that. He thought it was really cool. I'm sure he's seen it before, but maybe he made a big deal about seeing this poster. And he was like, "Wow, that's really cool." And he thought it was a neat item to autograph. So I was really cool to meet Tom Atkins and get that. He was a really nice gentleman. And then the very last over here, I got this through the mail, is Stuart. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden this Stuart Gordon. Sorry, my mind has slipped there. As I'm getting older, it's slippery. So Stuart Gordon, he is very famous for doing movies involving H.P. Lovecraft. That's like one of his superpowers, and this is actually an H.P. Lovecraft short story turned into a movie from the Masters of Horror. That is, and let me get a little bit closer if you can see that. I'm pretty sure I sent it to his actual production studio. Again, Stuart Gordon is not one of those directors that's going to get like a ton of fan mail, so I'm pretty confident that that's a real autograph as well. Because he sent me back a lot of stuff signed, like a lot. I have it all over the place, but it was kind of a cool little card. But those Masters of Horror cards came in the DVD boxes that you buy. So if you bought the little DVD, it had a little slip cover. Obviously, the DVD's sealed. You go to Walmart, Target, wherever you buy your movies. And you open it up, and they have those little cards in there. It was so cool, like a little baseball card, trading card. So I sent that along with a few other things, and he sent that back signed. He also sent me back a letter, which was super cool. And then, like I said, I mean, he was super class act. But the Masters of Horror was a series on Showtime that lasted just 2 seasons from like 2005 and 6, I believe. Something along those lines. And their big thing was, we're letting the directors film whatever they want. There is no limits. You can film however you want. There's not going to be any restrictions. We're not going to tell you what you can or can't do. And you can produce and direct whatever you want, any kind of content. Everybody pretty much, did their typical, not censored horror movies. Except Takashi Miike, which did a completely shocking episode. And that might be for another video, but if you want to look that up, look at Masters of Horror, Takashi Miike, and see what his video was, or his film was, because it wasn't played on Showtime. After they said, anything goes, well, Miike took it to heart and was like, all right, well, if anything goes, I'll introduce you to an episode that might blow your hair back a bit. And then Showtime was like, no, we're not, that's a hard pass, we're not going with that. So, maybe that's a little, put that in your bonnet there to put for future reference. So, anyways, guys, this is my first genre horror film autograph video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was entertaining. Hopefully you learned something. And if you like it, let me know. Please let me know, because I don't want to do this because I'm not smart enough to try to do separate videos and categories and channels and all that stuff. It's just all going on to my main channel, Zombie Collector. And so if you'd like to see more of this stuff, great. It ain't going to hurt my feelings. I'm a big man, a big boy, in a little man's body, maybe. So if you don't like it, just tell me, I'll stop doing them, because I'm still going to collect. I'm still going to do what I like. I just don't want to derail the channel. So anyway, support each other, love each other, respect each other in the hobby. And hopefully you enjoyed. And again, learned something. That's the most important thing. Take care and have a good day. Peace.